Greetings! It is I, Countess Naravan Dracovin, Lord and Emperor of the Dracovin Empire, and welcome. It is time to continue my discussion on the EARTHDAWN Roleplaying game system. Well, where we last off, we were diving into combat, and guess what we're going over today? Situational modifiers for combat. Now, as I said at the end of last week's episode, these situational modifiers, unlike a lot of sections where I don't go over in detail, because these are more than likely going to come up in the course of your games, I am going to go over these. These are important to know about. They will more than likely occur at some point. Alright, let's start with it though. Blindsided. When I am blindsided, I am unaware of an attack degree. I am unable to defend against it properly. When I have gained the condition of blindsided versus an attack, it has to be against a specific attack, I have -2 physical and spell defense against that. Now, certain situations could call for -2 social defense too, but that is very situational. Now, these situational modifiers have to be taken advantage of. Just because I'm blindsided by that guy's attack over there, if he doesn't actually attack me, he doesn't get the blindsided bonus, because it's versus his attack, the attack he could use against me. You have to take advantage of it for me, the blindsided person, to have the penalty. If they don't, well, I'm just fine fighting everyone else. Alright, next up is, of course, cover. Cover is my ability to get behind something to block, an attack from coming at me. It makes it harder for me to be hit. Makes it much more challenge for me to be struck by an enemy attack. The level of cover will tell me how much bonus I get to defenses against attacks from getting cover. Now, if I'm covering 30 to 50% of my body with whatever type of cover I'm in front of, again, this will all be GM's discretion about how much this cover covers you. I have partial cover. I get +2 to my physical and spell defense against attacks, because I'm like, ooh, as long as this cover is blocking against those. If it's attacking me from behind, I'm probably blindsided and probably not getting a bonus anyway. Now, I have full cover if I have about 50 to 90% of my body being blocked by whatever's in front of me. This grants me +4 to physical and spell defense. It's a lot better defensive against me. I'm covering most of my body. I'm still peeking out a little bit to get my attacks in or something. If I have complete cover, I have over 90% of my body covered by something. I can't be attacked. You can't target me correctly because I am so blocked from attacks. The disadvantage that I have being behind this complete cover is I can't attack either unless I peek myself out and actually lower my cover to do an attack, and, well, then, I can be attacked back. So it's a choice if whether I want to be attacked or completely defending myself. Now, another thing you could face is darkness. Darkness isn't always a problem depending on your race. Certain races have special visions which could counteract darkness. But for the average race, darkness is something that they won't be able to see through. It makes it harder for you to notice what's going on and use sight-based actions. Basically, yeah, that's exactly it. It makes it harder for doing sight-based actions. Now, partial darkness would be if I'm in a shuttered room and let's say it's a cloudy day out. The amount of light that's going to filter into this room, that's partial darkness. I have a -1 to all action tests revolving around sight. If, let's say, I'm in a shuttered room and it's the middle of the night, we still have a little bit of moonlight coming in. This is full darkness. So I still have a little bit of light just from that moonlight coming in through those shutters, but it's still really dark now. I have -3 on all sight-based action tests. If there's no light whatsoever, we're in complete darkness. This is inside a room without windows, deep underground, something like that, that you will not have any light whatsoever. I get -5 to all sight-based action tests. Now, if I have low light, I actually ignore the partial and full darkness penalties. My low light vision's enough to see. Complete darkness still screws me. If I have thermographic, I'm fine in any of these, but these are all basically circumstantial, and it will be circumstantial depending on the GM to determine what kind of effect the darkness has. If I'm in a situation where I might not trip up on anything, I'm not going to get the same kind of penalties as if I'm in an area where things might trip me up and slow me down, because in darkness I might have a speed penalty, depending on the kind of terrain I'm in, and my knowledge of the area too. Also, there is magical darkness. Magical darkness interferes with all kinds of visions, including special types of visions, and then acts like darkness would according to that. Now, blindness is related to darkness because guess what? If I'm blind, either temporarily or permanently, for the duration, I can't see anything. It's total darkness to me. And unless I have some kind of special talent or ability that might give me a bonus why I can't see, well, then I'm kind of in the trouble of I can't see. And I get the complete darkness penalties. Always. Again, you might have some kind of talent that might help you out in this case, which would make it not as bad, but you're still blind. Dazzled is in fact the opposite of darkness. That's an easy way of saying it. It's bright light. But the bright light could have a similar effect to the darkness that you might be facing. Normally, dazzled will have a similar effect of either equal to partial darkness or full darkness, meaning you'd have the same penalties. It's so bright you can't keep your eyes open. You're like, Rarely does it get bright enough to have complete darkness level of penalties, though it could occur. You could be so blind you're like, I can't open my eyes at all. It burns, Mom. Ah! Now, distance is a factor too. The distance between me and an enemy will affect the range attacks. Now, this is just another one of the modifiers we can talk about, but fact is there is short range and long range. If I'm at short range, I don't have any problems. If I'm at long range to an opponent using my range attack, I get -2 to my attack and damage to hit them and damage them. So it is a double penalty for being at long range. Now you can be harried. Harried means that I'm in battle and I've got 4 or more enemies all attacking me at once. I'm distracted. I can't keep my eye out on everyone, so I'm having trouble fighting them all at once because there's so many piling down at me at the same time. While I'm harried and trying to fight all these out, I get a -2 to all my action tests and a -2 to both my physical and spell defense, because not only am I having trouble targeting one person because they're all around me, I'm having trouble defending myself because they are all around me. Now, you can go even further and become overwhelmed. Overwhelmed means that you basically have more than one source of harried, more than one source of distraction that's hitting you. Because you can be harried by things other than 4 enemies, there are certain talents and spells which could cause harried in an opponent. So if I'm getting more than one harried effect upon me, well, I start accumulating penalties. Beyond those first set of penalties, for each harried effect I get beyond that first one, I get an additional -1 to my action tests, and an additional -1 to my physical and spell defense. It means the more harried I am, the more penalties I get. But that's it for this week. I went over some of the modifiers that could be affecting you in combat. Blindsided, which is actually pretty common that you don't know an attack is coming after you. Cover, getting in the way of something, having it block you and help block attacks. Darkness. If you're something like a human, you're definitely going to be affected by darkness, but there are other races that don't have special visions. Or if it's complete darkness, low light doesn't help for certain things too. So darkness is a big factor, and a couple of others I went over. And of course some derivatives of darkness I went over, distance, and finally harried, basically distracted in combat, which most of the time takes the form of being overwhelmed by numbers, but you can get harried in other ways too. All of these basically affect either action tests of some kind, or your defense, either granting it or subtracting it. Sometimes it affects both in certain ways. Regardless of what it is affecting in you, it will alter combat. It will alter combat depending on these circumstances. It's exactly what it sounds like. Circumstance changes, bonuses, penalties. It's all situational. In the next episode, we're going to try to finish up all the situational modifiers because there are some more ones we want to talk about. It's important to talk about all of these. And then hopefully we'll move on to more in combat after that. But if you have any questions, comments, anything you want to say, anything you think I left out, please leave in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. It shows you for the channel, the empire, the work I do. If you want to show some extra support, you can always check out my Patreon. Link description below. There's some great rewards there. It helps to grow and improve the empire and the channel. But regardless, until the next time, I bid you farewell.